Fortnite has become possibly the most polished live service game out right now. Whereas Overwatch releases a sequel that changes the skyboxes and Battlefield is Battlefield, Epic Games has time and time again shown commitment to building out and evolving the world of Fortnite Battle Royale, even delaying their updates to give them as long as they needed to make things perfect, and that has resulted in some of the most detailed, consistent, and stylistically driven worlds in modern gaming. And that's not a joke. Whereas other releases like Apex Legends and Overwatch have small individual maps with set themes, Fortnite has stuck to the core principle of having one huge interconnected world that evolves with time. And this world is more than just a game map. This is a lived-in universe. There are tiny details to be found everywhere, from chipped roads that have been heavily driven on to factory chimneys producing smoke particles. Nothing feels copy and pasted. Each house is distinct and uniquely designed. Each store has a unique brand ranging from tattoo parlors to energy drinks. Some brands even have products as in-game items and have billboards placed across the map as advertisements. The world is highly interactable. Standing on a fire will hurt the player, and landing in a dumpster will actually have them enter it and hide. There are ambient noises around the world. The Slap Factory plays corporate jingles to depress the workers. The neon streets of Mega City are full of music and sound to make it feel alive and immersive. There are random rift events that interact with the player and change the world in real time, giving players opportunities to see new things and engage in small side quests. There is wildlife, both friend and foe, roaming the world that can be hunted, tamed, or even ridden. All of this didn't just come at once. Epic Games has done a masterful job of updating the game over time to add more elements that make it feel real and alive. It becomes its own reality, even in-game referred to as Reality Zero. Fortnite Battle Royale takes place in the fictional Reality Zero, an island at the very centre of all of the universe that formed around the Zero Point, an orb that acts as the embodiment of everything. This island, Asteria, was formed by taking chunks of various realities and piecing them together like a puzzle, and this can be seen in-game. There are temperate farmlands and autumnal forests right next to huge icebergs and ancient jungles. Each biome has its own distinct feel. The nature, the sounds, the wildlife, and the structures are all uniquely designed to fit the environment. The story of Fortnite is often told through the map. Chief Creative Officer of Epic Games, Donald Mustard, once described the island as the main protagonist of Battle Royale. This is reflected in the way the map updates every couple of weeks to reflect changes in the story. Military outposts being set up as a faction moves across the map, a corruptive substance expanding its influence, a flood receding and revealing new areas. These are just a few examples of the way Fortnite has been able to keep the story intriguing by storytelling through map design. There are even in-game live events that change the map in real time, from rockets launching and tearing the sky apart to dozens of big purple cubes rolling around the entire map. The world of Fortnite ties into its gameplay loop perfectly. It's clear that Epic has built these islands with gameplay as the primary focus. Much of the island is mountainous with significant height variations, so players can sit up high with sniper rifles. There are large bushes strewn through the fields for campers to hide in. Gorges have zip lines connecting each side, and tall cliffs have ascenders to zip up to the top so that traversing the landscape isn't tricky. There are interactable NPCs found all over that provide the player with additional items and resources, and job boards to interact with to start a side mission. The seasonal quests task players with locating specific objects, tampering with machines, and interacting with the world in other ways. All the major water bodies can be fished in, with specific fishing spots offering different types of fish and loot, ranging from rusty cans to high-tier guns. You can even see the different types of fish swimming around in the water, occasionally taking a leap to the surface. There are even optional character books and fishing books to fill out every season for completionists. There are campfires in rural areas that can be lit to provide warmth. All of the cars and boats can be driven, damaged, and destroyed. Windy valleys can be flown through as slipstreams. Everything is alive. No map in any video game is perfect, and that also applies to Epic's maps in Fortnite. Some of the maps are better than others, but even the best have room for criticism. For example, in Chapter 2, my personal favourite map of theirs, the issue was just how flat much of the map Apollo was, including the entire left side, with the only real height diversity being in the southeast corner with its mountain ranges. The very top left of the map was a particular issue, with the Atlantis-style Coral Castle being all style, no substance, with hard to navigate exits and clear sights across the entire location. Chapter 3's Artemis was a true improvement over its predecessors, with wintry forests and arid canyons providing much diversity, but the jungle felt uninspired and boring, with not much to its name except a paid collab POI. I feel like this was somewhat of a missed opportunity to have an exciting tropic filled with unique locations, new wildlife, and exotic flora, but what we got just felt like reused ideas done marginally worse. Chapter 1's Athena is probably the fan favourite, but truthfully, there wasn't really much diversity for a long time. 2 identical farms, a swamp with absolutely nothing to its name, and much of the houses being reused multiple times across the map. Chapter 4's Asteria can be overwhelming and appears cluttered in some spots. Mega City is a sprawling metropolis with huge quantities of loot, so for a while there was no reason for players to drop anywhere else. But Epic has since cleverly spaced out points of interest to give players reason to visit the whole map. The other 3 corners have slightly smaller but still large locations jam-packed full of loot and vaults to crack with high-tier items inside. And that's just the thing. Epic has masterfully utilised the live service model to expand the maps over time. Athena was given 3 huge distinct biomes over 2 years, ranging from tropical rainforests to icy mountains. Artemis got a beautiful fungal biome that expanded on a relatively weak corner of the map, and Asteria was massively expanded with the addition of Mega City and 3 other named locations. Every Fortnite map has its own distinct identity, compounded by unique art styles introduced every few years. Athena is cartoony and wacky, with wavy trees, boxy cars, and slanted tiles to create the feeling of running through a cartoon. Apollo updates the style with fresh new textures and updated models that dial up the realism a bit. Looking at the nature, it's similar. It feels like a faithful adaptation with new graphical technology. But looking at other areas like the vehicles, you can see the way the developers were influenced more by the real world and realistic video games like Grand Theft Auto. Particularly after cars became drivable, there is a distinct stylistic influence here, but they're very clearly based on modern car designs, like New York taxis and sports cars. Artemis doesn't change up the style a whole lot, as it's quite literally the other side of the same coin, but it updates a lot of the building pieces seen in the houses and the cities to match the updated art style brought by the previous map. It feels like a real evolution is happening to the style over time. Asteria brings another new art style with a much more realistic look than its predecessors, updating the trees to have more variety and adding more visual effects to buildings like dirt, graffiti, and more. Weather is rarely talked about as it's just sort of expected to be there, but in reality it really does add a lot to the atmosphere of a video game, and weather effects are often missing from these live service releases. Epic has implemented weather into Fortnite in various ways. The Dangerous Storm is, well, a storm, and as such has rain and thunder in it. indicating the danger it poses. The Chapter 3 Artemis map had thunderstorms and tornadoes that would spawn randomly in matches and interact with players and environments in really unique ways, with tornadoes ripping up buildings and vehicles and shooting players across the map, and lightning storms creating fire outbreaks that injure the player. Mega City and the Asteria jungle see rainfall at night. It's harmless, but it's pretty, and it adds to the atmosphere. It's much more comparable to the weather in Grand Theft Auto or Minecraft, in that it doesn't inherently interact with the player character, but it creates a sense of immersion that improves the overall game experience. Now, what developer doesn't love Easter eggs? Epic certainly does, as often they add small little Easter eggs and nods to the player base all across their maps, ranging from hints at fan favourite characters returning, to adding gravestones where players died in infamous clips. It shows that Epic is really in touch with their community. There's this house on Apollo that makes a clear reference to the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, along with a variety of other pop culture references sprinkled throughout the 4 islands. Easter eggs are far from the make or break for a map. It just adds to the world overall and gives players a little something extra to watch out for, and it shows the developers really do have fun building out these worlds. Looking at the competition, you can pretty quickly see why Fortnite's maps stand out and other games don't. Look at the Warzone map. It's all grey. You can see copy and pasted assets right next to each other. The buildings don't stand out, and the realistic art style and contemporary setting forces this military look that makes the whole map just blend together. Other games like Apex Legends and PUBG have a rotation of smaller maps that miss the idea of a large cohesive universe. They're more like arenas that miss the idea of an immersive world. And I think that's part of Fortnite Battle Royale's success. The map is large, colourful and consistent, with uniquely designed buildings and landmarks that stand out in their own ways. A plethora of creative ideas for biomes and locations that, even if only for a limited time, are notable and memorable to the players. It's why players ask for locations like Tilted Towers to return. These locations are iconic and memorable even years after being removed from the map, creating a sense of connection not dissimilar to that felt between people and places in the real world. Not to mention, whereas other games have been criticised for their lack of interiors or details, every single building in Fortnite can be entered, explored, and destroyed. Each room is stuffed full of assets that make it feel alive and lived in, rather than just like filler. And with Fortnite's harvesting and building mechanics, players can interact with every single prop on the game map rather than it all just being for show. Every prop is really there and can be interacted with, and that is why Fortnite excels. Epic Games has done a wonderful job building out the worlds of Fortnite Battle Royale over the years, and from a world building perspective, they have knocked it out of the park every single time. But people don't see this because they just think Fortnite is the funny dance game and not a legitimately respectable IP. It's part of why each chapter brings so much hype. People are excited to explore the new world, visit the new locations, find secrets, marvel at the new art style, feel the nostalgia at remastered locations from chapters past, and then fall in love with a new island. So next time you drop into Fortnite, just remember all of the talented artists and level designers who spent thousands of hours modeling and texturing assets, building out points of interest, painting terrain, and designing a grand world. The very many people who have worked together to deliver a variety of interesting locations and sites that are all unique and yet always fit the gameplay flow perfectly. The next time you play Fortnite, just think about how unreal this world really is.